So this is review. The zeros, all you do first is you set f of x equal to 0, right? Because the zeros are where the function would equal 0. So 0 equals x minus 3, x plus 5. And then what you do is you use the zero product property. So to use the zero product property to write multiple equations equal to 0. Multiple is spelled wrong there. Sorry. Equations equal to 0. So here, if I'm multiplying something times something else and it equals 0, either x has to be 3, because 3 take away 3 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0, or x has to be negative 5, because negative 5 plus 5 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. The way I show that is I have either x take away 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 5 equals 0. And I just solve both of those. Add 3 to both sides, x equals 3. Subtract 5 from both sides, x equals negative 5. That's the part that's review. Questions about that? Okay, the next one I do the same thing. Set f of x equal to 0. So 0 equals x times x plus 7 times x take away 4. Sorry. Okay. Here, what if x were 0? If x were 0, I would have 0 times 7 times negative 4. What's 0 times anything? 0. So one option is just that this x is equal to 0. Done. I don't even have to solve an equation. Another option is that x plus 7 equals 0, which would mean x would have to be negative 7. And then this option would be x take away 4 is 0, aka x would be 4. Questions? You guys try number 3. Try number 3. And check your answers at the bottom. Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Cool. Any questions? You got it? Cool. All right, let's do number 4. Number 4, I set it equal to 0. X, this is interesting, x minus 3 to the power of 2. What does it mean when you square something? What do you do to that quantity that you're squaring? Yeah, you multiply it times itself, right? So this is x take away 3 times x take away 3. And then I have x take away 1 at the end. All this means is I have it 2 times. So now I have 4 equations. 1, x is equal to 0. 2, x minus 3 equals 0. 3, x minus 3 equals 0. 4, x minus 1 equals 0. One for each factor. Okay, x equals 0 is already solved, so that's one of my solutions. X minus 3, x minus 3. Are those equations going to give me different answers? No, right? If I solve each one, x is equal to 3, right? So we do this thing where instead of writing it twice, we say x equals 3 with a multiplicity of 2. That's just how we write that, meaning it happens multiple times, it happens twice. I know it's kind of annoying to write that out, but that's what we call it. We say x equals 3 with a multiplicity of 2. If it happened 3 times, it would be with a multiplicity of 3. And then x equals 1, if I solve that, I have my 4 roots. And just so you know where we're moving to with this is you guys remember that zeros are the same thing as roots, which are on the x-axis, right? The roots are on the x-axis. So later on, we will graph this, and you can actually graph it based on what I have right here. If I multiplied this out, all 4 of those factors, I would have an x to the 4th. Because x times x times x times x is x to the 4th. And it's positive because there's no negative coefficient in front of the x. So we know, based on what we learned last class, that that's going to look kind of like a w. And what the zeros tell you is where that w crosses the x-axis. So there's one root at x is equal to 0. That would be here. There's another at x equals 1. And then x equals 3, it goes through that point. We say like it goes through it twice. So what it's going to look like is this. It's a w. It comes down, goes through 0, goes back up through 1, and then bumps right off the root at 3. That's what like going through it twice means, quote unquote. So this is an x to the 4th graph. It goes through at x equals 0, it goes through at x equals 1, and at x equals 3, it bumps right off. It's kind of what we're going to talk about after break, but just so you can make sense of everything. In the answer key, I forgot to give you the answer to number 6, so I'll give it to you now, and then you can do this and check your work. The answer to number 6 should be 0, -1/2, and -7. And then that other answer I gave you as 6 is actually the answer to 7.